Going. All right. Earlier today, Jennifer Huff spoke to the ladies of The Real about her lawsuit against Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty, alleged lawsuit. And let's take a look.
That Nicki and Kenneth were harassing you. In what way?
With them sending people to negotiate numbers as far as money is concerned with family members. And Nicki is the one who personally reached out to me. She's, in regards to helping them in this situation. And then the threats that I received because I kept saying no to every offer, to every suggestion. The last incident was when one of their associates put $20,000 on my lap, and I still kept saying no. The last message I received was that I should have taken the money because they're going to use that money to put on my head.
Now, Jennifer also mentioned that she spoke to Nicki Minaj directly back in March, as she said in the interview, and that she agreed to fly her family out to Los Angeles to settle this ordeal. But Jennifer declined the offer. What are your thoughts on the information that
Taco Shell, you don't need to stress. Everybody's invited.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I first saw that The Real was doing this interview, I was very taken aback. I'll be the first to admit that I was not fully aware of all the details of this case, but I was kind of taken aback because I was like, The Real is not even this type of show. This is just messy. Then when I watched the interview, I also want to give, in the midst of all this chaos, I want to give a shout out to Garcelle Beauvoir, because she handled this interview so well. She had the level of delicacy and compassion needed to do so, because I questioned their ability to do that. And with her not having a talk background, she did an amazing job. So listen, for me, my gut response was, this is old, leave it alone. If this man was not married to Nicki Minaj, this would not be a story. She wouldn't even get an interview in the Weekly Reader, yet alone The Real. After finding out more information and finding about the harassment, so on and so forth, then I'm like, you know what? If this woman is going through what she's going through at the hands of them, then she has the right to speak out on any platform that is willing to listen. Now, psychologically, I completely understand Nicki Minaj and Kenneth for wanting to remedy this situation in any way possible. I understand that. What I don't understand and what I don't agree with, and what I think the ultimate wrong is in this situation, is the constant harassment. All right, you reached out to the lady once. She said she was not interested. You tried, leave it alone. But to constantly harass this woman after she's been victimized by your husband is just wrong.
I agree. Al, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you have two things going on here. All right. Number one, you have a woman, if you watch that interview, is still very fearful for her life. She's moved more than 5 times due to that fear. She said she wanted to come out of the shadows and she wants to live in her truth. She wants her life back. She wants to stop being afraid of walking out of her house and being harassed. On the other hand, you have a worldwide superstar married to a sex offender, and Nicki's fighting for her family unit. Now, let me tell you, I was so interested in this that I actually looked up the national guidelines for the sex offender registration and notification. And now I see why she's so stressed out. It's a 100-page document. Do you know that as a sex offender, she can't take her son with her husband to Disneyland or Disney World or Universal or Chuck E. Cheese or any place where there are kids, or amusement parks where there are a large number of kids? She has to notify the school when the husband's going to pick up their child or attend a PTA meeting. Water parks, they're off limits. Gaming centers for the young man when he grows up and wants to play arcades or something. They can't even go on field trips with him because she's married to a sex offender. So this is just a sad situation all around. But the biggest question to me is, and I know this is messy, but I want to know, how did The Real scoop this story? Because this is probably one of the largest stories in this whole news cycle.
I'm assuming she felt comfortable there, but I'm more concerned about how the fans are coming for this woman's neck over everything else. Like, you be a fan of Nicki Minaj. Kenneth Petty's crime that he did commit and was convicted of, right? Okay. Does not take away from Nicki Minaj being a great artist. It doesn't. And I wish the fans could separate the two. Two things can be true at the same time. This man did what he did. and Nicki Minaj is still successful, still good. She's great. But like, be careful about the lengths you're willing to go to make it convenient for you to take your kid and your husband to Chuck E. Cheese and go on trips. I saw a hurt woman on that interview, and I felt everything that woman said. She came off extremely credible. She came, and I understood what she was saying. And for people that want to say she's here for clout or for money, this happened like 20 years ago, right? 15, 20 years ago. If she wanted clout, she could have been wrote a book and talked about it. Clearly she's not. But what happened was, this is about Nick. This started on Nicki and Kenneth's side, wanting her to recant her story so they could have the convenience of traveling around and get him off that sex registry, that list. This woman was minding her own business. She wasn't out there being loud, getting money. I have a friend that was raped by a celebrity as well. And it was a huge case. And when I tell you the disgusting things I had to hear about, I wish he'd raped me. Meanwhile, my friend's having traumatic nightmares where I got to like wake her up. She's having snowballs and rocks thrown at her because people are a fan of the sex offender, the rapist. And I just want people to think about your sister, your mother, your aunts, your grandmothers, whatever. If they were raped, I don't care how long ago, stop saying it happened 20 years ago. Stop saying it, because unless you are held down and raped against your will, you'll never know how that feels. And you have no right to tell someone to get over it. And I felt for that woman. And I was,
Claudia, I want to add, from my understanding, a lot of people dropped under my comments and said that it was her fans in the first place that dredged all this up. Being super fans, they went digging all in his business and whatnot. And they're the ones that even brought all of this to the forefront. Prior to that, it was just kind of, between the parties that knew.
Well,
I have a lot of respect. Go ahead.
Being married to Nicki Minaj, it was going to come up. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. But, the question that I kind of wonder is, do you think it would be this big of a deal? Would she be still sitting on that couch if we did not hear about him not registering in the state of California?
That's a very good question. I think the only answer is the interview made for great ratings. So whether he registered or not, just as long as it still dominated the news cycle and people still had an interest, there still would have been an interest in her because it made for great ratings.
Got it. Okay.
I always tend to think about the victim, like screw the ratings, screw the talk show, whatever show got it. This is a woman that was raped, right? And then imagine it's some unknown guy on the street dude in your neighborhood. And then years later, he marries one of the biggest superstars in the world. And not only do you have to rehash all of that, but now all these fans are coming after you. What does Nicki have? 100 and some million followers. And these fans need to just step back and just have a little compassion for this lady.